but I've been told that if you want to get something done in technology today, get it done by a child. I have a grandson of 5, and he's got a little cousin of 4. And whenever the family has a braai, they feed me together with them. So it's official. I'm a child. 53 and a half years old, but I'm a child. I am fascinated, and I love social media because I love telling stories and I love meeting new people. So hello, I'm your friend from the Cape. How do we... Okay, we just need to click now. Okay, this is tourism's new frontier. Space is not tourism's new frontier. In fact, we have a guy called Olaf Zipter who's coming out to South Africa for the Skydive for Rhinos campaign, and he says a wonderful thing. He's planning to be the first person to skydive from outer space. They're developing a re-entry suit for safety in space tourism. He says the sky's not the limit, the ground is. Sorry, you did show me. Oh, they're right. Okay, social media, it's a bad name, guys. It's social, but it's not media. And that's very important. Because if you're on Twitter and you're pushing out, please come to my hotel because breakfast's only 45 Rand today, you're in the media, but you're not in the social space. The media is one-way messaging. You can't talk back to somebody in the media, in traditional media. Jack Dorsey, who founded, one of the founders of Twitter and Foursquare, and he's actually the CEO of Foursquare. Twitter's not a new media, it's the global conversation we have always thirsted for. This, to me, ladies and gentlemen, gets so close to the very, very core of tourism. Tourism is about conversations. And finally, the world has come up with a technology that allows us to talk to one another. Shahid, thank you. You know, you're probably one of the first people I've heard of who's worked out how to do that on a commercial basis. So let's call it the social web, because it's about being social. It's about being friends. It's about saying, hello, I'm your friend from the Cape, or I'm your friend from South Africa. Ron Marder, who spoke at the Responsible Tourism in Cities conference at Indaba last year, and I were having a conversation over Skype one day. Skype's a fantastic thing. And he said to me, selling tourism, instead of doing things for other people, it's now about doing things with them. And it's about changing from I went there to, hey, someone invited me there. Now look at that slide. I made friends with this girl, Nayo, in Japan because of our shared interest in a writer called Haruki Murakami, who's written a great book and a very inspirational book called What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. More importantly, he's a very well-known novelist, and the novel that I'm currently reading is The Wind-Up Bird. Look what she said to me. Martin, it sounds like fun. Have you ever been to Japan? She's 16 years old, and she knows that she needs to bring us to her country because her country's economy depends on tourism. She's 16. I love it. So now I'm not going to talk much about the tools. I'm not going to talk about Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest and YouTube and Tumblr and all those things because it's about people. It's about making those conversations. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened to tourism, ever. And it's the biggest thing that's ever happened to communication. I'm going to go through this very quickly. It's a very, very famous graphic that was put out by the Shanghai web design company, GoGolf.com. In 60 seconds on the web, 1,500 new blog posts are posted. 6,000 images are uploaded to Flickr. 64,000 queries are made on Google. 600 videos are uploaded to YouTube with an equivalent of 25 hours of watching time. 695,000 status updates. 79,000 wall posts and 510,000 comments are made on Facebook. 70 new domains are registered. 168 million emails are sent. 80% of which are spam, and most of them come from this tourism week. 90,000 tweets and 320 new accounts are registered on Twitter. 32,000 iPhone apps, 13,000 iPhone apps are downloaded. 20,000 new posts on Tumblr. 1,700 Firefox downloads. I think I brought down about 60 seconds. You get the idea. We cannot afford to miss that. So what? We can no longer afford to market tourism the way we were marketing it when I was a youngster in the 1980s. With shrinking budgets at every level for marketing tourism, we have to think of new ways of doing it. Tourism is about meeting people and making friends. Everyone's using the web today. Like Minister Windy said, 50% of people alive today are under the age of 30. If you're a tour operator, probably other than Shahid, if you're a tour operator, if you're Hilton Ross, you have an aging demographic. And in a few years' time, the youngsters like me are not going to be able to travel very well anymore. So the thing to do is to start online, to make friends before they leave home. And remember that doing that, it's about a marathon. It's not a sprint. How long have I known you, Jacques? 20 years?
Yeah.
We finally, I think, can call ourselves friends. Little by little, phone call by phone call, Skype call by Skype call, meeting at Indaba, meeting for a cup of coffee at the theatre here in Cape Town, one block at a time. We can call ourselves friends. And now, if I have a problem when I come to Cape Town, I think I can call on Jacques. That's how friendships are built. And friendship is about retention. And I love this quote from Harley Davidson. Remembering that Harley Davidson expects to have 17 contacts with each prospect before that person buys. The first contact is very often when he is a spotty teenager, or she, but girls aren't spotty. When he's a spotty teenager, the last contact is very often when he's in his 50s and he can finally afford a luxury item like a Harley Davidson. That every single time they meet one of their prospective clients, they treat him like a king. And the end result is this, from the Harley Davidson annual report 2 years ago. Retention is for wimps. We measure the presence of customers who have our name tattooed on one of their body parts. That's very true. How many people are going to paint the South African flag on their face when next the Aussies think that they can do anything important to us on the rugby field? Ladies and gentlemen, I have a dream. Marsha, please stand up. I want everybody to meet Marsha, Marsha is convinced, thank you very much. Marsha's from Mossel Bay Tourism. She's convinced she's an old person. And she has been able to, she's been able to support all the crazy ideas that I brought to Mossel Bay Tourism over the last few years. Thank you, Marsha, for that. And I came to her the other day and I said, Marsha, we need to leverage the QR codes, those funny square codes. We need to leverage them. And so what we did was we went and we researched the background behind 15 of the most important things or exhibits at the museum, at the DS Museum. The post office tree, the caravel, and that sort of thing. Then we went and printed QR codes with Marsha's budget, and we put them on these 15 different exhibits. And we launched it on National Museum Day. And we became the first museum in Africa, as the Minister said, to have an interactive tour of the museum using one of the social media tools. Now I've gone to Marsha and I've said, we have no budget left. They've cut our budgets. We've got no money. Oh. So I said to her, take all the print advertising budget and put it into the internet. And she nodded her head because she understands. And what I'm doing now, my dream is, I'm starting to meet with all the youngsters, all the people under 30 who are building websites in Mossel Bay. And we're going into a forum, and we're going to work out how we can go and teach all of their clients, many of whom are well into their 60s, because they're mostly retired people running bed and breakfasts and things like that, how to use the tools, particularly Twitter and Facebook. And my dream is this. Through the limited budget that Mossel Bay Tourism has got, and without paying a cent to any of our volunteers, I want 150 people in Mossel Bay tweeting at least 10 times a day about Mossel Bay with the hashtag Mossel Bay. Mossel Bay, hashtag Mossel Bay. I saw whales today at Glentana. Hashtag Mossel Bay. I caught a beautiful grunter today at the Point, and so on and so on and so on. Can you imagine? Just do the maths. If 150 people send 10 of those tweets out a day, over 365 days, and the conversations begin, like me and Naya in Japan. I'll probably never meet her, but the conversations begin. And slowly those people start to build their friendships with other people Suddenly we are marketing and we are using our flag to do the marketing instead of our money. And the other part of my dream is that I want information officers in the Western Cape to consider closing down as information officers and reopening as conversation officers. The people sitting at your desks, at your front desks, should be on Twitter and Facebook all day, every day, talking about all sorts of things in the Western Cape, in their own town, on the net, and in Africa and South Africa. To use the social web to build relationships, to be personal, to have that conversation with Nao. Yes, I loved the wind-up bird. No, I didn't like the wind-up bird. To be authentic, that's very important. You can't suddenly in a bank put a whole lot of Nintendo Wiis for your staff to play with. It just doesn't work. You've got to be authentic. Those kids have to be taught how to be authentic. It's easy. It's all about the kind of conversations they have at home without the swear words online. That doesn't need any say. Amplify the love. We love our country, which is why we live here. We need to amplify that. We need to get that across to other people. We need to build online communities by connecting, reciprocating, having those conversations. It's all about the conversation. Following, retweeting, linking. I read a fascinating thing the other day about a hotel in Durban where Manny's talking, here, you might like to know about this, you Mr. Hotel Keeper in Cape Town. Content is king, but visuals are key. So you do need to upload those videos and those photographs all the time. And like my colleague from the media over there said, you don't need to be professional about it. You just need to get those things online and tag them. And finally, almost finally, we need to let go. We cannot control the conversations that our staff have. But you've employed adults. The point is to allow them to behave like adults. Although I agree with what was said earlier about mentorship, that is very important, and that's what we're planning to do through our process in Mossel Bay. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. Once the kids have stopped teaching the adults how to use the Twitter and Facebook, my plan is to go in there and tell them how to tell stories and how to conduct online conversations. And you know what? It's exactly the same as having a conversation at a cocktail party. And this is my goal, is to get people financially invested, emotionally invested in our towns and our province. Simon Sarnak, look him up on the internet. He's particularly on TED Talks. He has the most amazing talks at TED.com, TED. When people are financially invested, they want to return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. So our plan must be not to put adverts in 35,000 Rand a time in a magazine. Our plan must be to make the people with whom we rub shoulders every day emotionally invested in the economies of their towns, so that they are talking to people outside of their towns and getting people into them. All media is now social media, yet the basic rules just remain the same. Please, if there's one thing that you take away from today, go to a site called slideshare.net and look up what the F** is social media now, version 3. This next few slides come from there. All media is now social media, but the basic rules remain the same. You need to listen, you need to engage, you need to be real, you need to be respectful, and most of all, you need to have fun. And that's what tourism is all about. Listen, thank you very much.